Hi everyone, and welcome to this section. Here we are going to create a sample application that utilizes Recyclerview to display a list of names. As you can see here, this is the sample application. We have a list of names that are displayed. We are also going to learn how to add click listener so that when I click on any name here, a new activity will open and display that name which was clicked. For example, if I click Richard, a new activity opens and displays the name Richard. If I click on Alice, a new activity opens and displays the name Alice. And if I do the same to David, a new activity opens and displays the name David. Apart from our click listener, we are going to add a search view. As you can see here, we have an icon to search. This makes your work easier if you have a long list and you need to search for a specific name. For example, we can search for the name Richard. It's already filtered, so the moment I type any character within that name, the Android application will start to filter. And if I click the filtered names, any of it, for example, if I click Richard, it's going to open a new activity and display that name. We can filter with N. We have the name Hannah. If I click it, a new activity opens and displays that name. So this is what we are going to learn. And apart from the logical or the implementation bit, as you can see here, we have a very beautiful user interface. This will allow us to learn about designing our user interface so that it looks more presentable. We are going to work with gradient, we are going to work with loaded background and themes. We are going to learn how to customize even themes. So let's get started. To begin, we are going to create a new project. So click File, then New Project. Choose the template that is phone and tablet, and then select an empty activity. Click Next. Give your application a name. For example, I'll say Recyclerview. And then the package name will be net.lantech.recyclerview. The save location, the language, and the minimum SDK. In this case, I'm using API 23. And then click Finish. So give the project some few minutes or seconds to finish loading and configuring. So as you can see here in the status bar, Android Studio is learning some Gradle configs. So once that is done, you'll see your project structure here. And so what we are going to start with is doing some setups. So we'll begin by editing the default colors, since we want to use our colors that will match this one. So for the purple to 100, I'm going to change this one. I'm going to give it, that is 3D95, then D0. I'm going to copy this one and have the same for purple 500. And then for purple 700, I'm going to give it D8, 1B60. Then for tile to 100, I can just utilize this one. And then we have for 700, it's going to remain like that. For black and white, I'm going to leave it as default. Then we need other colors. We need these colors, that is the header color, and also the text color, this one. So I'm going to define text colors. This is how you comment within the XML file. So I'm going to have color, and then the name, I'm going to have text color. And for my text color, I'm going to have 2F 3D 52. we always begin with hash. And then I'm going to have another color here, and I'm going to have header color, and within the header color I'm going to start with hash 145795. Below it, I'm also going to define other colors, for example the one that are going to make this gradient. So what I'm going to have is a comment here and say gradient color, and then I'm going to have color, and the one that I'm going to begin is start color. That will be 006797. Remember, we always start with hash. Then I'm going to have color name, that will be end color hash 489855. I'm going to have another color here, which will be center color hash 006797, and the final color for gradient will be user. So I'm going to have color user. I'll begin with hash 403F C6 and then 68B. B. So the reason we have this user is this color here. And then this is the header color, this one, and then the text color is this one. The gradient, we are going to define it, and we are going to use start color, add color, and center color. So the next thing that we want to set is our theme. Remember, we are using the light or the daytime theme, which is this one. This is night theme. So I'm going to edit this one, and I'm going to remove the action bar, and I'm going to have light with no action bar. Then we're going to define our drawable. Remember, we require this icon. All these icons are placed within the drawable folder. So I'm going to copy this one and paste it in my drawable folder. Okay. Now let us define the background color, this one. So what you are going to do, go to the drawable folder, select new, and then drawable resource file, and my root element will be shape. And then I'm going to give the name as background bg and click OK. Here I'm going to have shape to be rectangle, and then I'm going to have gradient, and I'm going to define within my gradient the start color. Remember, we defined our start color. I'm going to define the end color, so I'm going to use the end color. Then I'm going to have the center color, which we had as the center color. Then I'm going to give it type. I want it to be linear. And finally, I'm going to give it angle, which will be 90. So as you can see, this background resembles this one. So the next thing we want to do is to define our Recyclerview background, which is this one. It's a white background with a curve at the corners. So I'm going to have new drawable resource. The root element, I'm going to give it shape. And then the file name will be Recyclerview bg. And I'm going to click OK. Here I'm going to have shape, and I'm going to give it this rectangle. Here we're going to define the color, so I'm going to give it solid, and then I'm going to have color, and then I'm going to have it white. Within here I'm going to have corners, and for corners I'm going to have top left, I'm going to give it 25. Then I'm going to have top light, that is 25. I'm going to have bottom, that is 0. And then I'm going to have bottom, which is 0. Then we are going to define this circular one. I'm going to call it user's law. Remember, my root element is shape, and then I'm going to have users law. Okay, you can have users law bg. Then here I'm going to have shape rectangular. I'm going to give it solid, and then the color will be our user's law color. Remember, we defined it in the colors. And then I'm going to give it corner, and I just want it to be loud, so I'm going to give it radius. I'm going to give it 90. So that's all we need to define our drawables. So remember, now we have done color change, we have customized our colors, we have done theme change, we have customized our theme, and we have done the drawable, that is adding background colors and this icon. Open the activity main, that's your layout file. That's where you define how you want your screen to appear. That's where you define all your layouts and the views that you want to appear in that layout. So to begin, I'm going to remove this text view, and I'm going to give this one a background color that we defined, that is background bg. Then the next thing that I'm going to define here is a linear layout, and width I'm going to give it 0. Remember, I'm giving it 0 since I'm using constraint layout as my parent layout. So I'm going to have start of parent, and I'm going to have end of parent. I'm going to have top of parent, and then for the height I'm going to give it 70. I'm going to close this one, and inside it I'm going to have toolbar, that is Android X app compact widget toolbar, and the width I'm going to have match parent. For the height I'm going to have utter, that is action bar size. Then I'm going to close it, and inside it we are going to have a text view. In this text view I'm going to lap content, and I'm going to give it gravity center. I'm going to give it size, that will be 16. I'm going to give it color, that is white, and the text itself will be users. From there, now we can define our Recyclerview here. So I'm going to have linear layout, and then I'm going to have 0 deep. For the height I'm also going to have 0. Remember, I'm giving it 0 because I want to constrain it to the parent. So I'm going to have start of parent. I'm going to have end of parent. I'm going to have bottom of parent. Then I'm going to have it top bottom of this one. So I can give this one ID, I'll say linear layout that holds toolbar. So LL toolbar. So this one will have top to be bottom of LL toolbar. Then I'm going to give it background color, and that will be Recyclerview background. I'm going to give it a padding of 10 deep, and inside it is where now I'm going to define my Recyclerview. So I'm going to merge parent and I'm going to lap content, and then I'm going to have margin start 3, and I'm also going to give it margin top, and I'm going to give it 3. So after defining our Recyclerview and our toolbar, we can learn this project for the first time and see what we are going to get. So the Grado is learning. Remember, this is our sample application that we want to build. So the Grado is learning. So now we can see here that we have this background color for Recyclerview. We have this text for the toolbar. And now we need to change this color to match our application here. So to do that, I'm going to go back to colors, and the purple 700 I'm going to change to this color here. Then now we can learn it again. So now installing, there we are. So we have created a skeleton of our activity main. Now we are going to create this low user here. Let's go back. This one that will hold user information. Let us now create our low users. So I'm going to have layout new, and then I'm going to define a layout resource file. So this I'm going to say low users. Remember, what we need to create is something like this one that will have the initial character of the username, and this icon. So I'm going to have spread, and then for the height I'm going to say lap content. Inside here I'm going to define a relative layout. The width for my relative layout I'm going to give it 70. For the height I'm going to give it, okay, let me give it 50, and this one I'm going to give it 50 deep. Then I'm going to position it to start of parent. I'm going to position it to top of parent, and then inside it I'm going to define, let's give it a background color. Remember, we defined the user low background color, that is user. It's in our drawable folder here, user low bg. Inside it I'm going to have a text view, so I'm going to lap content. Then I'm going to have a text view here. The text, for example, I can give a null. I'm going to center it horizontally, that is, and vertically, so we can use center in parent, that is true. The color, remember we said here we use header color. Size, I'm going to give it 16. This one, I'm going to give it a padding of 10. So once we have this one, the next thing that we want is this text view and this icon. So I'll have text view, lap content. I'm going to have it top of parent. I'm going to have it start. And I'm going to have it start at the end of this one. So I'm going to give ID here, and I'm going to have relative view prefix. So I'm going to have relative view prefix. Then I'm going to have it bottom, so bottom of lv prefix, and I'm going to give it a start margin of 10. The size I'm going to give it is 16, and the color that we need is header color. Remember, we can define a sample text. We can see that is Richard. We now define the image view. So you'll have image view, and I'm going to lap content, and our source image is the navigation image, and I'm going to place it to the end of parent. To the top, we're going to have top of parent, and then to the bottom, we can say bottom of lv prefix. Now we have this initial character, we have the text view, and we have the image. So let's give this one an ID. So I'm going to have TV username, and for this one I'm going to have TV. The ID will be TV prefix. So that's all we need for now for this hello user. Let us now proceed and create our data class. This will be a model or a data class that will hold our users' data. So I'm going to call it user model. I'm going to convert this one to a data class, and the only thing that I need is the username. So I'll have val username of type string. I'm now going to create an adapter that will enable us to display a list of names in our Recyclerview. So I'm going to have user or users adapter. This users adapter is going to extend Recyclerview dot adapter, and inside it we are going to define a view holder class. So to do so, I'm going to create an inner class, so I can have users adapter dot view holder, and then I'm going to create this class called view holder, which is going to extend Recyclerview dot view holder. For view holder, I'm going to have item view, which is a view of type view, which I'm going to pass here as an item view. So you need to import the view, and then this one I'm going to add a constructor here. So when we are extending Recyclerview adapter, we have several methods that we need to implement. So click option return to implement your method if you're using Mac, or Control Enter if you're using Windows, and then select all the methods, that is on create, on bind, and get item count. I'm going to move this class to the bottom here, and then I'm going to define our model or our data class, which will be a private user, private val user model list, and this is of type list of user model, which is an array list. Then I'm going to have a private fun set data. This is the method that you are going to call when you want to display data. Let's make it public. Then inside we'll have user model, which is of type list of user model. We'll have this dot user model list is equal to user model. Then here we can have notify data set changed. Inside our create view holder, we can define our context here, context of type context. So what we need to do is have context will be parent dot get context, all context, and then I will return our view holder, and inside it I'm going to have the view, that is layout inflator dot from context dot inflate all dot layout dot, remember you have users, we have low users, and then I'm going to assign parent and I'm going to give it false. Inside on our byte view holder, we are going to leave this one as it is for the moment, and then for this one we are going to return user model list dot size, and finally within our view holder we'll have val tv username, which is item view dot find view by id. This is a text view, and I'm going to have all.id.tv username. Then we can have tv prefix, which will be item view dot find view by id text view, and I'm going to have r.id.tv prefix. Now let's go back to on byte view holder, and what you're going to do is to get user model val user model, which will be user model list dot get, and then we are going to get position. Now we are going to extract val username, which is equal to user model dot get username, and val prefix, which is equals to username dot substring 0 1, that is the first character. And then we can start setting here our holder, which is the view holder dot tv username dot text will be username. Then we can have holder dot tv prefix dot text, which will be prefix. That's all we need to do in our adapter. Now we go back to our main activity, and we first define private let init Recyclerview. So we are going to have Recyclerview users of type Recyclerview. Then here I'm going to define a function which will be private function init data. So I'm going to have alv users, which will be find view by id all dot id dot, let's check the id that we gave our Recyclerview. It's not there, so we can say id alv Recyclerview. So we'll have alv, not tv Recyclerview, should be Recyclerview users. So I can go here and have alv users. Then I'll have another method here which I'll say private fun init Recyclerview. So what we are going to do here is to have, let's say our alv users will be dot layout manager will be linear layout manager, and I'm going to give this. Add now alv users dot add item decorator, which will be divider item decoration, and this we are going to give this divider item decoration dot vertical. We are going to define private let init val user adapter, that is users adapter of type user adapter. So what we are going to do here is have our users adapter will be users adapter, and then we can have our Recyclerview alv users dot adapter is equals to users adapter. So the first thing we are going to do is to initiate data, and then we are going to call initialize the Recyclerview, and here we are going to private fun populate users. So for this function we are going to return a list of users user models, list of user model. Then we are going to have val users list, which is equals to array list of user model. Now to add users, just do users list dot add, and then what you're adding is user model, and the first user is Richard. Let's see it here. You have Richard, and then we are going to add the next user dot add user model, that is Ares, and then we have the third user, that is Anna. So we have user list dot add, then we have user model, that is Anna, and finally we have the last user, that is David. So we do user list dot add, we have user model, and that will be David. So we have all the users in our sample applications added to our data class, and now we need to return these ones. So we are going to do return users list. Now finally we'll have a method here, and we are going to say private fun show data. So here what you are going to do is to say our user adapter dot set data, and we can say populate users. This one we can call it here. Now let us learn our application and see the results. Remember, this is our sample application, so ours is it's just installing. There we are, we have users, we have a list of our users, that is Richard, Alice, Hannah, and David. So the next thing that we want to add is a search view here. Before we add the search view, we are going to add the click listener. If I click Richard, a new activity will start and display the name of the clicked user. Now to add click listener, the first thing that I'm going to do is to create an activity that will act as the destination for the clicked item. So I'm going to create an empty activity, and this one I'm going to call it selected users, and then I'm going to click finish. So it's supposed to appear here. Let's see. There we are. We have selected user activity, and within the layout we have activity selected user. What we need to do here is to define a text view. So we're going to have a text view, lab content. Then we can constrain it to the start of parent, to the end of parent, to the top of parent, and to the bottom of parent. So let's give this one an ID, TV selected user, and then I'll go here and have private letting it val TV selected user of type text view. And then here we can have a function called private fun init data, and here we are going to have TV selected user, which will be find view by id al.id .tv selected user. Then here we'll have private fun. We have private fun. Oops, let's remove these ones. Private fun get data, and what we do here, we'll have val intent, which is equals to intent dot extras, and then we can have val. So let's first now pass the data. To do so, go back to your user adapter and define here an interface called click listener, and within it we can have void clicked item. Not void, but it's fun. This is called train, so we have fun clicked item. So what we do, we create a constructor here, and we pass clicked, that is clicked listener, and then we have a type that is clicked listener. So here we'll have private clicked private val clicked listener of type clicked listener is equals to clicked listener. So we can start. So this one is equal to this one, and then we can say here holder dot clicked holder dot item view dot click on click set on click listener, and what happens is once you click it, call click listener dot clicked item. So that we can know the clicked item, we'll pass here user model. It's not a list, it's a single one. So we will have our user model here. Then we go back to our main activity, and we add an implementation for user adapter dot click listener. We implement the method. Here we are. What we do is to start activity, we can have intent, and we are moving from this intent, and we are going to selected user activity. We have class Java, then we can put extra username, and then we'll pass user model dot username. So here, when we want to init Recyclerview, we have user adapter, and then the listener is this. So now let's go to selected user activity and get this data. So we'll have val username, which is equals to intent dot get string, and this one will be we are getting string username. Once we get this one, we are going to set it to TV selected user dot set text. We can say dot text, which is equal to username. Then we can, once we find our ID, we can now set the data. So I'll explain how it's working. So you go to the adapter and you define your interface here. Anytime the holder is clicked, this holder is clicked, it's going to call Onclick listener, which is going to go to our main activity and start the activity for selected user, and it's going to pass the username here. Then we can receive the username here and display it in our text view, which is this one. So I can put the size for this text view to be 16, and the color can give it text color. Let's learn this one and see the output. Remember, this is our demo sample application. This is now what we are working on. So we expect when we click David, we can see a new activity and the David is displayed, same as Alice. So now the remaining is a search view, which we are going to add here so that we can search within this list. It will be like this one so that you can be able to search. So let's continue implementing it. Now to add a search view, go to your list folder and then click new. Here we are going to have Android resource directory, and we are going to select a menu and click OK. Then within the menu, we are going to have new menu resource file, and I'm going to call it search menu. Within our search menu, remember what we want is to add something that looks similar to this one. So we are going to have an item, and this item I'm going to give it ID, and the ID I'm going to have is search. So we'll have search view, and then I'm going to give it title, and the title will be search view. Then I'm going to give it icon. We can have Android icon search. We'll have at Android drawable IC menu search, and then we can have show as action always, and then we can have action view class. We can have search view. This should be app action view class, that is search view. And then we can remove these extra spaces. So we have our search here. Then we go back to our main activity and override two methods. The first one will be on create options menu, and then we have on options item selected. Now here we're going to begin by having menu inflator dot inflate hull dot menu dot search menu, and then we can have menu. Then we are going to have val menu item, which is menu, and then find item hull dot id dot the id of our search view, and then we can have val search view of type search view, which will be menu item dot as action view, and then we can cast it to search view. We can have search view dot set on query text listener. We can have our object, then we can have search view dot on query text listener, and we are going to implement the two methods. So for now, I'm going to return true, and even this one I'm going to return true. So as you can see here, this one only detects when you submit a text. This is what we are going to use since it's real time. Anytime the text changes, it's going to give us the new text. Then remember, we don't have toolbar in our application. We don't have action bar, but we have a custom toolbar. So I'm going to have toolbar, and then I'm going to find it, which is equals to find view by id hull dot id dot. Let's go back to our activity main. So it's tb toolbar. If you didn't define this one, you can define it and give it an id. So I'm going to have tb toolbar. Then I'm going to have toolbar all these dot set support action bar, and I'm going to give it toolbar. Then I'm going to have this dot get support action bar dot set title, and we can have, make sure it's not null title. Okay, first set title to null. Ensure this one is not empty. Even this one you can set title is equals to null. Now let's learn our project and see how it's going to behave this time. So launching, there we are. We have search view. Then the title users is still here. To remove it, I'm going to go back here and have search view dot search view dot max width, which will be int dot max value. So we can learn this again. There we are. So the next thing that we are going to do is to add the filter within the adapter. Right now it doesn't do anything, but we need to add the filter within our adapter. Now go to your adapter and then implement filterable, and then click option enter. We're using Mac, or control enter. And then we have this filter method here. So what we are going to have is val filter, which is equals to object of type filter. We can do this. And then we are going to implement the methods, the two methods, and we can return the filter. So return filter. So inside perform filtering, we are going to define val filter results, which will be filter results. Then we are going to check if the filter character is empty or not. So we can have if p0 equal to null, all p0 dot is empty. Remember, we are returning filter results, so our filter results dot value will be higher. Now we go back to the top before we proceed. Copy paste this one below and have this one as the filtered. Then this one, copy paste this and have this filtered to be the same as this is not filtered. So what will happen if you're not filtering anything, the filter result will be the same. So it will be that way. And then filter result dot count will be our size of the filtered user model list filtered. Else, if someone is trying to filter, we are going to begin by getting the character. So search car, this is the character that person is trying to use to filter. You have p0 dot to string dot to lower case. Then we are going to define val filtered results, which will be an array list of user model. Then what we are going to do here is for user model in our user model list filtered, we are going to check if user model dot username dot to lowercase dot whether it contains that such character. If it does, we are going to have filter results dot add filtered results dot add user model. And then finally what we are going to do here is have filtered results, this one dot value is equal to filtered results. And then also we can have filter results dot count is equal to filtered results dot size. Finally, we are going to return filter results. And now finally we are going to have to publish the results. So we'll have user list model is equal to, remember we are going to give it these filter results, so it's going to be p1. So we are going to cast this on p1 as list of user model. And finally we can notify data set changed. I'll go back to my main activity, and then when the query happens, I'm going to have my adapter users adapter dot filter new text. Before we learn the project, I'm going to go back to my filter within the users adapter, and for this one I'm going to assign its values. Let's now learn this project and see. There we are. Once we click here and we type Richard, it's filtering Richard only. You can type Alice, it's filtering Alice only. We can try David, the same. And once we click, a new activity opens and displays the name of the filtered person. So remember this one, in our sample application, the color is different. It was white, so we are going to change something in our theme. So go back to theme and then define an item, and this one you can call it control normal. Then you can give it white color, And also we are going to define a toolbar color here. So I'm going to define a custom style and I'm going to call it toolbar. And what I'm going to do is to have item Android edit text color, and I'm going to give it white. Go back to my main activity and have this one. The theme should be toolbar. Let's learn it again. So there we are, it's white, and even we can search, and everything else is white. So this one is the same as our sample application. So I'll leave all these resources where you can be able to download them and be able to implement a sample application as this one. Finally, we can be able to see our application that uses Recyclerview to display a list of users. We can be able to click on any user and a new activity will open and display the name of that user. And we can also be able to search for a specific user and click on that user to open a new activity that will display the username of that user. That was our main agenda for this section, and we've been able to achieve it.